Mission Impossible 3 was directed by J.J. Abrams, and at the time making his directorial feature film debut. And this guy just reinvigorated so much life and adrenaline into this franchise after the disappointment that was Mission Impossible 2. Which, speaking of, I'm having a great time going through this entire franchise in the build-up to Dead Reckoning Part 1. This is just the latest entry into this playlist, and I'm having a great time talking about these movies with you guys. Now let's dig deep into what many people consider the most underrated entry in this whole entire series. Ethan Hunt, once again masterfully played by Tom Cruise, is retired from active duty in the IMF. Hunt is about to go marry the love of his life, who's played here by Michelle Monaghan. But he is basically pulled out of his hiding when he faces the toughest foe of his career, Owen Davian, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's an international broker of arms and information who is as cunning as he is ruthless. Davian emerges to threaten Hunt and all that he holds dear. That includes Hunt's fiancée turned wife. Now, the thing that I really respect about Mission Impossible 3 above all else, these stunts feel like they have stakes again. J.J. Abrams was mostly known for his television work prior to getting the gig as director of this movie, and he really understood these action sequences in the sense that in order to make them feel as dangerous as possible, he really utilizes extras really well, thrusts them into the middle of this action. And there's a lot of phenomenal action sequences in here. The sequence on the bridge where Tom Cruise has to blow up a drone, which I must also add, Tom Cruise at this point was pulling off some of the most dangerous stunt work he had ever attempted. Like when Tom Cruise is doing what he really likes and he's running down this road to try and retrieve this asset known as the rabbit's foot, he basically comes centimeters away from getting hit by this car. And it's like, good lord, Tom Cruise puts his body on the line for these movies. And say what you want about him, but you gotta give the devil credit where it's due. And not to mention, he is damn good in this movie, as is everybody else they get here. Ving Rhames as Luther Stickle once again is reinvigorated with humor. You know, MI2 really forgot to make Luther Stickle funny, and it really forgot what made him so endearing in the original Mission Impossible. MI3 pretty much goes back to basics. Stickle is funny, and Hunt is not a James Bond Pierce Brosnan womanizer. MI3 does such an amazing job of humanizing this character even more by thrusting Michelle Monaghan into the picture, and she's really great in this movie as well, sharing great chemistry with Tom Cruise. And again, something that the predecessor did not necessarily understand was how to pace a Mission Impossible movie. This one, I feel like, has a better grasp on it. It's a very breezy 2 hours and 5 minutes to sit through. It is approximately 1,000,000 times more entertaining than whatever Mission Impossible 2 tried to do. Yeah, you do have your explosions, and you do have your money shots, and you do have the staggering stunt work. Like, how about Tom Cruise sliding down a skyscraper, practically? This is just insane. It gets even more ludicrous once you get into Ghost Protocol, which I can't wait to talk about also. And you know what, guys? MI3 might not be the strongest entry in the saga for reasons I'll explain later, but something that I feel like it holds over the rest of the franchise, best villain for sure. The late Philip Seymour Hoffman, may he rest in peace, is so freaking intimidating. This is a guy who will practically stop at nothing to get what he wants. Doesn't matter who he harms, doesn't matter who's in his way, he's gonna fucking kill ya. And not to mention, he does get some funny one-liners as well. A villain that's super entertaining while also being super menacing. The kind of villain that I really, really dig. Owen Davian is probably the best villain in the whole franchise. Philip Seymour Hoffman, I miss him so much. He was such a brilliant actor. This might have been one of his best roles. This is also the first appearance in this franchise of Simon Pegg as Benji, and he gets a lot of really clever one-liners, some great chemistry with Tom Cruise and Ving Rhames. And I got a question for the viewers here. Raise your hand if you forgot Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad was in this. Yeah, Aaron Paul plays a distant relative of Michelle Monaghan, and he's basically in the wedding celebration scene very briefly, and it always cracks me up. Every time I pop on MI3 and I'm going through this opening exposition here, it always cracks me up seeing a young Aaron Paul talk to Tom Cruise like a big ol' surfer boy. But yeah, MI3, there's a lot to really like about this movie. Great performances all the way around, phenomenal stunt work as you would expect from a Tom Cruise epic action film. And say what you want about Abrams, but this guy understood the assignment and he certainly brought his A game. Now I will say that the pacing of this movie is a lot better than in Mission Impossible 2, but rewatching it in hindsight, I really do wish that there was a lot more emotional development. I wish that the movie was a little bit longer, actually. That way we would have had a little bit more time to breathe. Because even though the action in this movie is consistently great, it is relentless, throwing it all in your face, almost practically at once. And that's not necessarily a big flaw with the movie, but when you do that, a lot of times these action sequences will meld together, and it kind of plays off as this gigantic action set piece for 2 hours. And that's not to say that the emotional character development isn't there, because it totally is. You see the fundamentals with Ethan Hunt fighting for what he loves, but I was just wishing for a little bit more emotional pull, even on this rewatch. Nevertheless, MI3 is a really strong action movie, definitely a huge improvement over MI2. J.J. Abrams certainly understood what this series was all about, and he put this franchise on track to succeed in ways that most action franchises don't, because he understood the essence of what Mission Impossible was all about. Ethan Hunt cannot be a womanizer, he just needs to be a silent assassin. Yeah, he can have some emotional backstory to him, but he should not be looking at the camera, winking, and mugging it up. It's a very stone-cold action franchise as opposed to a cheesy franchise. And I think MI3 definitely understood that, despite its flaws. I'm going to give MI3 a B+. If you haven't seen this movie in a while, I recommend checking it out again, especially as we build up to MI7, which I can't wait to talk about with you guys. Let me know what you thought of MI3 down in the comments section below. What's your favorite J.J. Abrams project that you've ever seen? Guys, I love discussing all new things in movies and entertainment, and all things Mission Impossible in the build-up to Dead Reckoning Part 1. This channel is the place to be if you want to talk about all that jazz. So do consider subscribing and tap on that like button on your way out. Really helps spread this content out there and really helps continue to grow this awesome community that you guys already are. Stay tuned for my review of Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, where Brad Bird steps into the director's chair. Very unlike him, because he had only done animated films up to the point of MI4. It's gonna be a lot of fun as we chug away at this franchise, and this is where it gets really awesome. Can't wait to bring all that to you guys and much more. So with all that being said, back talk commence.